Good afternoon. Thank you everyone for joining us today at the UCI Merage MBA for Executives, Women in the MBA webinar. We are absolutely thrilled to have you here today. We have an incredible facilitator, an amazing panel of women to share stories with you today, and we know you're going to find the hour you spend with us incredibly valuable. Before we get started, there are a couple of things I do want to mention. First of all, please, if you are a participant today, have your video and microphone off until we go into breakout rooms. It will help you focus, it will help everyone else focus, and allow us to concentrate on the amazing material we're going to receive today. Also, if you entered the webinar onto Zoom today and your identifier is anything other than the name you registered with, would you please at this time take a few moments to rename with the first and last name with which you registered. This will really help us track who's here today and get you into the right breakout rooms in a few moments. To that comment I'm making about breakout rooms, we are going to have an opportunity to break out into smaller sessions for just a few minutes in the middle of our webinar today. So at a time shortly, you're going to start getting on your screen an invitation to go to the breakout room. Please do not accept that invitation. That will just be notification to you that you have been assigned to a room. We will be making an announcement later when it is time to go to those breakout rooms, and at that point you will be able to accept the invitation. If you have any questions today about navigating the webinar, please put a question in the chat box. Actually, please put all your questions in the chat box. Take advantage of that tool to communicate with us. We will be getting that information to our speakers, or it will come to me, and we will make sure that all of your questions are answered. Before we go much further, let me backtrack just a minute and tell you who I am. I am J.R. Reisner. I'm the Director of Admissions for the MBA for Executive program at the UCI Merage School of Business. I could not be more thrilled to be here today with our students, some amazing alumni, and we have as well an incredible facilitator. I'm going to introduce to you in just a moment Dr. Deena Brown. And Dr. Deena Brown brings to this webinar today an incredible amount of energy, experience, and knowledge that she is going to share with you, and she is going to also lead our panelists in discussion. So I'm going to let her tell you much more about herself in just a moment, but before I do that, I do want to share that Dr. Deena is a person in our network through the MBA for Executive program because of the partnerships we have with other organizations. You're going to hear more about that later today, but I want you to keep that in mind, that as you're learning about us today, you're learning what we offer. You're learning the benefits of what you will gain through your education enhancement. You're learning about the people you will meet in the network, but it's also those partnerships. You're choosing to take some time out today to learn something new, and I'm hoping you're going to see the value that would come from investing in yourself with this next step with your education as well. So with that, let me hand everything over to Dr. Deena.
Oh, my audio again,
making
sure I'm doing all this great talking and I'm going to do that. So let me backtrack for one quick moment to add one particular point is that I am a futurist. And by a futurist, it means that I use strategy. I use all of the things and signs and wonders of today to make projections and build strategy into my tomorrow. And they say the future is female. So guess what? The future is ours. So as a futurist, it's really important that we begin to live the life by design as opposed to default. And it is a pleasure today to be able to facilitate this webinar with 5 amazing, extraordinary women who are going to share with you not only the how, but the why they selected the UCI Merage School of Business to do their EMBA, and what do they do to navigate? Because there's 3 particular areas in a woman's career outside of possibly getting married or having children where they have to make some decisions whether to pivot or move on. One of which is that they're deciding to pursue an executive level position, or they are looking at the position they're in and wondering, how can I up-level my leadership? And the third is, what are my opportunities? What are my possibilities? And we know that they're infinite, but how do we get there? But guess what? It doesn't matter which pivot that you're in. There is something here that you're going to learn today that's going to help you make the decision for your greater tomorrow. And so with that, I would like to introduce one of our very first panelists who's going to come on and share a little bit about her journey and about who she is. So our first panelist is Amanda Brewer. Hi, Amanda.
Good morning.
Want to go ahead and take my camera so I get a chance to see you. And Amanda, I invite you now to tell us a little bit about yourself. And I have a two-part question for you. Why you selected the Paul Merage School of Business, and how has your EMBA helped you better equip yourself as a leader, even though that you're starting and you're in the beginnings of your program?
So I am Amanda Brewer. I work at Veris Manufacturing, where I am an executive vice president. We are a contract manufacturer for printed circuit board assemblies, and we make printed circuit board assemblies for medical, military, aerospace, space applications, just to generally help the overall population. And I decided to pursue my EMBA at UCI because I've always wanted a higher education. And a couple of years ago, the owner of my company unfortunately had a sudden medical condition, and he's okay, but it really made him kind of look at his life, how he was spending it, and wanted to make sure that he was in the position to take care of his family if something should happen to him again. And so he really decided to step out of the day-to-day operations of the business, therefore pulling up my boss and mentor into a president and CEO role. And that further pulled my responsibilities up as well too, being the vice president. So a little bit about my boss. He's a very data-driven, analytical, heavily embedded in the financials, and really airs, all of those things air more on the historical side of what those figures represent. Where I am much more intuitive, I'm heavily based in planning, strategy, and really more of the forward-facing pieces of those types of activities. So we dovetail together very nicely. But one of the things that I knew as my responsibilities were being pulled up was that I was lacking that foundation of what business rests upon, which is really the financials. And so I really knew that I needed to better understand how to calculate them, understand them, and utilize them to grow our company. And so my mentor actually went to the EMBA program at UCI 20 years ago. And I just, I really respect and look up to him, and I just wanted to emulate his success and all the wonderful things he's been able to accomplish. So it was a really easy choice for me to choose UCI to pursue my MBA. And I feel like it's really expanded my leadership by putting me in new experiences. All of the classes, all of the wonderful people at the school have really challenged my way of thinking in certain situations, and that's really helped me to grow and to give me a larger toolbox and network that I can draw from as business and the world at this point is changing so rapidly.
Fantastic. Wow, what an amazing opportunity. What an amazing thing to have such a great mentor. And mentorship actually matters. And so thank you for sharing that other piece with us. And now I want to invite Dr. Deena Ramos. And here's the interesting fact is that the US has 12.3 million women-owned businesses. The US economy is increasingly reliant on the work and devotion of female entrepreneurs like yourself, Dr. Ramos. How has the Paul Merage Executive MBA prepared you as an entrepreneur and as a leader?
So the Executive MBA program has a track that's called Innovations in Entrepreneurship. And that has been a fantastic opportunity because that dovetails with what is called the Cove, which is a startup incubator that is affiliated with UCI. And that has been an amazing experience because the whole reason why I came to get my MBA was to become an entrepreneur. I'm a physician and I am also a public health leader. And by getting my MBA, I'm combining both and taking it to the next level, and I'm gamifying health. And all of the education, information that I have now has been gleaned from the UCI Merage School, as well as the Wayfinder incubator over at the Cove. It's been an amazing experience, and my relationship going on with the entrepreneurship program is going to be continuing on at the Cove.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you for sharing. I look forward to learning more and seeing more. I'm excited about the whole gamification piece. And so thank you for everything that you are doing in that particular space as well. And as I introduce our next panelist, Anita Baker, I want to say, Anita, congratulations on your new baby, your new job, and also being in that healthcare community. I wanted you to kind of continue to add, and let's continue that conversation with, how did the Merage EMBA program prepare you as a leader in the healthcare industry?
So I'm a physician assistant by training. I'm a clinician, and to keep my story brief, I had a miscarriage in 2016, and I felt like I was a failure as a woman. And since I can't have kids, what was the next thing I was going to do? And so I was looking at the healthcare environment at the time, and the nurse practitioners and PAs were really being relied on to provide the services because of residents' hours were being cut short, and yet the patient they still need to be taken care of. So we stepped into that role, and yet there was no leadership available for that. So I saw that coming, and I looked at UCI because at the time they still had the healthcare executive MBA, and I wanted to learn the business so that I can truly participate in those meetings. And so the classes I took, I was able to attend the residential to Washington, D.C., where you meet the senators' aides and the Congress and FDA and all these agencies that just run healthcare. Being 18% of the economy, GDP, it's amazing that we don't really have too much clinicians aware of the business sense. So I pivoted also during that program, and I joined actually the executive MBA class so that I can learn from my classmates as well, from other industries, not just healthcare. What were they doing right, and what can I learn from them to bring to my environment then? So that the digital transformation and that kind of, and marketing, and just amazing courses. Lastly, I ended up getting pregnant during the school year, but before graduation, and my team, talk about Wolfpack, my team helped me out in the first trimester, which was rough, and our projects, they were helping me out and leading me up, and it was amazing. So I ended up getting an opportunity to move from San Diego to Stanford, and again, I relied to my Wolfpack, and we talked about, okay, how do I negotiate? Okay, how do I do this? How do I do that? And again, going into a new leadership role, I recognize my shortcomings, and UCI and the Merage program specifically still offers coaching for the alumni. And so you're not just there as a student, even when you're done, you still get access to their program. So I encourage everyone to really look hard, because when it's time to pivot, it's okay. It's doable. It's all doable. Thank you.
Wow, it is. And like you said, there's nothing as powerful as having a team and a pack, what you shared with the wolf pack, to actually help you and support you along that journey. So not only being a mom and going through the trials and the tribulations that you had, personally, but also looking professionally to make a pivot. So it's great to know that you had that team and that support and that community. So thank you.
And I still have them. I go to them whenever I'm in trouble, and they're always encouraging and lifting my confidence level. It's amazing.
fantastic. Like I said, it's nothing like the power. There's nothing more powerful than a woman with a made up mind. So it's great. And with that, I'd like to introduce Brittany Hurd, class of 2018. So I want to say congratulations on your recent promotion, Brittany. You are taking on a new challenge, a super challenging role in the midst of a global pandemic. And so I'm interested, and I'm sure everyone listening is interested, how did your EMBA program really prepare you to lead during a crisis, and not only lead, but to stretch yourself, even outside of your comfort zone?
Thanks, Deena. First of all, I just want to thank you for having me here today. I'm so honored to be able to talk to anyone who might be considering getting an MBA. I know how transformative it was for my life, and just being able to present with this wonderful group of women. So me, as you mentioned, right as COVID kind of became, there were lockdowns and things happening, I transitioned into a new role. So it was within my organization, same company, but very different position from what I've done before. Primarily, I've been in marketing for most of my career, and I've been trying to make this jump into strategy for a really long time now. For me, I've always just loved everything about business strategy and wanted to learn more about it. And that's one of the main reasons, truly, that I wanted to pursue my MBA. It's just having the business acumen and understanding, financials and strategy and marketing and how it all coincides with each other. And I really felt like UCI prepared me to take on this new role. Ironically, I actually started at Experian about a week after I graduated, and Craig Bounty, who's the North American CEO, was my commencement speaker. So if you don't believe in, signs or fate, that's one thing. But I took on this new role, was within a global organization, very different from anything I'd had done before. It was a marketing position, and I did that for about 2 years. But within that role, I really made a conscious effort to take in all of the different things that I've learned at UCI and really apply those to my job. So I believe I took on projects that were maybe beyond my role, maybe a little bit beyond what a typical marketing role would look like, which really set me up to take this new job as a strategy director. Because quite honestly, I felt like I was already doing a lot of that role. So I had a fantastic experience at UCI. I would echo what Anita said as well, in that it truly is a wolf pack. I mean, I rely on my classmates to this day, and it's just really good to have that support.
Wow, thank you. And again, congratulations again. And for, even though that you are working and you are doing some new things and stretching yourself, that you found time today, it's a testament to your leadership and the power of the pack for you coming back and being able to share with us on this platform. And our fifth panelist, Joanna Faulkner, class of 2017. So excited to have Joanna. She has such an amazing story and journey, and really hits home about the power of networking. And one thing that you have to understand, and this is for everybody listening, whether you're an EMBA student, you're an MBA student, or that you are just navigating life as a whole, networking is not about just connecting with people. It's really about connecting people with people, people with ideas, and people with opportunities. And there's no one better to share that than Joanna. And so Joanna, can you describe for everyone, how would you describe your EMBA network?
That's a great question. Thanks, Deena. And hi, everybody. Super excited to be here to talk to you about my experience with the EMBA program. As mentioned, I think a lot of people get into MBA programs thinking about a network and thinking about networking sort of in that more corporate professional way, which is certainly the case. You get exposed to a lot of really great people. But I think it's important to think a little bit beyond that. So in my case, I had moved out of the US, and I had actually lived abroad for 10 years. And I sort of cut my teeth in the hospitality and hotel business. And that experience was amazing, but it really happened in a different place where I formed relationships elsewhere. And when I came back, I was a bit adrift. And I really needed a place to land. And I was lucky enough to pick the EMBA program at UCI. And what an incredible landing it was, a way to get connected and sort of rebuild my network and community here in the United States. And in the moment, it was an incredible experience. As a lot of these ladies have mentioned, you know, the incredible support, the teamwork, the camaraderie, the learning that happens in the program, but how much that extends beyond. And in my case, it reconnected me to a place that I had left for over 10 years. And it sort of launched me into the next phase of my life. And as many people are mentioning, including Brittany, continues to pay dividends. So in my case right now, due to the pandemic, I also had to make a shift out of the hospitality travel industry, as I'm sure you can all appreciate. A lot of people in that industry have been greatly affected. And I was able to pivot into a digital marketing experience company. And the reason I was able to do that, one, because of my background in education at UCI, but more than that, because one of my classmates actually helped me get that job. So I was able to actually move into a new job role and company just because of the community and network that I had through UCI. So it was a very tangible experience for me.
Oh, fantastic. I mean, there's so many like nuggets. I'm glad my take notes going, gosh, what, you know, where do I go? Because there's so many pieces I want to tap into. But what I will ask, and I'll just start with you, and this is something that I would like any and all the panelists who feel comfortable sharing would tap into, is that one thing that you said about this concept of being digitally driven, and the Paul Merage School of Business is known for equipping leaders to excel, not just sustain, but excel in a digitally driven world. And we've seen this huge, not just a pivot, but a shift to things going digital. So can you share, do you have any insights on how did the program or your network within Paul Merage School of Business prepare you to be able to maneuver? And I'm gonna say this, I know some of you might be tired of hearing this, through the COVID-19 crisis. It's almost like saying that it's like Voldemort from Harry Potter. But how did it help prepare you during this heavily digital time period where we're asked to lead during this COVID pandemic? And so Joanna, since you're still up, we'll see if you'll.
Sure.
You know.
Absolutely. Yeah, great question. So two very tangible ways that it helped me pivot. One, it really helped me with my knowledge base. As you mentioned, UCI is very digitally driven, and we had a lot of digital focus throughout a variety of our classes and materials. So there was a digital component to a lot of what we learned. And I was also exposed to other people, classmates, who were in digital platforms, digital companies. So in the program itself, it really broadened my knowledge base of the digital world and how it applied to a variety of industries. But beyond that, as I mentioned, it also helped me in a very tangible way because I was able to get a job with my current organization on 24. And a lot of my knowledge that I took from UCI was leverageable in the program, in my new role. And they were able to hire me feeling confident that I had enough of a background to be able to participate in the digital marketing experience explosion that's happening right now. And I don't think I would have been considered for the role, not only because of my classmate, but because of my background and knowledge that I got from UCI.
Fantastic. I see Dr. Deena Ramos.
Yes, so I wanted to share that I started out, again, I'm gamifying health, but I started out focusing on a game for depression, diagnosing or treating, assessing depression in teens. But with COVID, I pivoted momentarily and have developed a game called COVID Blast. You can find it on covidblast.com. It's free, but it basically helps people, kids, adults, anybody who loves to play, loves gaming, to learn what we should be doing to stay safe during the time of COVID. And this would have never happened had I not been part of the Cove, had I not learn from all of my classes at the Paul Merage School, with the marketing, with listening to what is it that the consumer needs, what is it that the consumer wants, and how are we going to be delivering it in the way that they want. And one of the pastimes right now, we're all confined to our homes, is gaming. And so I thought, let's merge both together. And my son said, Mom, let's do it. And so now it's covidblast.com. So, COVID has definitely moved me much quicker than what I thought.
Oh, thank you. Wow. So I definitely want to write that down and check that out. What's that website again?
covidblast.com.
Covidblast.com to check that other piece out. And I know the other panelists have had different and various experiences in leading in this new digital environment. And so I wanted to, I don't want to call you out, but I'm going to call you out, Amanda, because when we talk about manufacturing, it has to have had some impact. And so I wanted to get some insight from you in regards to your leadership during this time and what you were able to pull from your experiences, even again, being a class of 2021, what you've been able to pull from so far to help you lead in a manufacturing industry that is heavily male dominated, and now having to make some shifts into a pivot into be even more digital than it was before.
Sure. Yeah, when the whole COVID kicked off, I was actually in a residential in Irvine with my classmates. And it was amazing timing because it was just that weekend that things were really starting to get quite tumultuous. And, you know, we were starting to get to the point where, you know, we didn't know what was going to happen, but we knew we were on the precipice of something big. And so the class that we were taking that weekend was inspirational leadership, and it could not have been more timely because our final for that class was to write a 5-minute inspirational speech. And being a woman in a mainly male-dominated world, I knew that I really needed to go back to my team after that weekend and take charge and really come up with some ideas and some strategies of how we were going to navigate through this and how we were going to navigate through it very quickly, keeping our employees safe and comfortable. And so I used that final assignment to write a 5-minute inspirational speech outlining the initiatives that I wanted to implement immediately, our plan for how we were going to get people to work from home if they were able to, and how we were going to keep our manufacturing open so that we could provide PPE for the medical community to be able to build ventilators and testing equipment and things like that. And I gave my speech for my final in my class, and then I went in on Monday and gave my speech to my management team. And it was, I don't think I've ever had zero trepidation from my team. They've always got something to say about something, but it worked out perfectly. Everybody was 100% on board, and we were able to move very quickly ahead of most of our peers in our industry to get our team safe and to get everything off and moving much quicker than we would have done otherwise. So it was an amazing experience, and it couldn't have been more timely.
Oh, fantastic. I got chills and like goosebumps off of that. Well, I have one more question that I'm going to actually ask every single panelist prior to us going into the breakout room. So hopefully those of you that are joining us, you've got some questions that you've been jotting down, and that when you go into the breakout room, you'd have a more intimate experience. But I have one question that I'd like each panelist to answer, and it's called the one-word question. And we're just going to go in order. Why don't we start from 2017 and roll up to 2021? So we'll start with Joanna, and then go to Brittany and Anita and Dr. Ramos, and then Amanda. Is that one question is that if you had to sum up your EMBA experience in one word, what is that word and why? Let's go to Brittany. So Brittany, what's your one word?
Hi, Deena. So I love this question, and I was really thinking about it, and I think my one word would have to be transformative. I remember that my confidence as a leader going into this program was just not there. My first residential, I remember walking into the room and wondering, you know, do I have what it takes? And it can be a little bit intimidating, that first experience, but the MBA program is challenging, and it's challenging for a reason, because it really helps you level up your leadership skills. And I would just say that through that program, I don't think that I'm the same person I was. I know I'm not the same person that I was at the very beginning. It truly transforms how you think about business and how you approach problem solving, and how you show up as a leader.
Oh, thank you. Transformative. Okay. All right, Anita, What's your one word?
So I absolutely echo Brittany, but I have to have my own words. So wolf pack, really the family, don't leave anybody behind mentality kind of thing. The group was raising me up whenever I was down. I made family. As I was living in San Diego, I had to get a hotel in Orange County, and Katie, a classmate that we had never met, somehow we clicked. She offered me a bedroom to her in her home. So every school weekend, I knew I had a place to stay, and now she's one of my daughter's godmother. So family, wolf pack, absolutely.
Oh, fantastic. Amazing. All right, Dr. Ramos, what are your words?
Yeah, so my words are innovative and disruptive. And it's not one word, because I learned that in order to get to where you want, you just have to do what you want to do it and get the support that you need. And you've got to be innovative, and that's what the program really helps you do, is to be innovative, and they show you how to do it, more importantly, and not to be afraid to do it. Disruptive, because you have to be disruptive. You have to do things out of the norm, and this is one of those things. Getting your MBA is one of the things that you may think, and we've heard it from others, why am I doing this? And believe me, you're going to ask yourself that many times, especially with competing priorities with your family, with work. Why am I doing this? I know how to deliver a baby. Why am I actually learning how to do tea tables in accounting? So, you just have to appreciate that this is a disruptive experience that is going to take you to the next level, and you'll be happy you did.
Oh, great. Thank you. I love the fact that you use two words instead of the one word, and even your rationale why, because there are times that you have to make that decision that what's best for you does not fit the status quo, and that really it's more expansive. And then you have to take the risk and be that bold individual to say, I'm going to stand in the face of whatever it is. And what I always share with whoever I'm working with is that there's three things that you actually need in order to be successful. You need clarity, you need confidence, and you need consistency. You need the clarity to have that understanding of who are you, so that you're confident when you have to stand in that space, even when there's naysayers. And that'll allow you to have consistent habits. So then you always show up as your authentic self. So thank you for sharing in that manner. And Amanda, what is your word?
That's a great question. I think my word would probably be, when I think about the program, is opportunity. Just getting the opportunity to be accepted and to be able to join my classmates who are they're so accomplished and so intelligent in their own right. And yet they've all just been so warm and so welcoming. We're definitely all a wolf pack, I agree. And then also just the UCI team, the outstanding professors, the alumni, the first-rate curriculum that's provided here. And all of these people are just focused on being supportive of each other, and making sure that each one of us has our own individual success, which has really just been an amazing opportunity for me, and I know for all of my classmates. And so just being a part of this group is amazing in and of itself. So definitely opportunity.
Fantastic. Well, if Joanna's not back at this particular moment, we'll catch her. And so I'd like to share my one word from my EMBA experience, even though I haven't been through the EMBA program, but I have had the distinctive pleasure of not only having conversations, interactions, and partnerships through various different programs I've been through and with, to say extraordinary. The extraordinary camaraderie amongst the teams, amongst the individuals in the cohorts, and their extraordinary attention to each other to make sure that there's truly no student left behind. And that has been something that I've seen over the 4 or 5 years that I've been exposed to the program and participants of the program. So my one word to describe the EMBA experience is just extraordinary. It's one of the most phenomenal groups of individuals, male and female, and professors and community alike that I've ever had the opportunity to be connected to. And at this time, I hope that you have questions, because we're going to pivot at this point to allow you to go into your breakout room, so that when you go into your breakout room, that you can actually ask very specific questions to the panelists. And this is your time and your opportunity to turn your camera back on so you can see all those beautiful faces and smiles that are there, and to begin to get additional insight into what it's like to go through the experience and to be a part of this amazing community. So let's go over to the breakout rooms.
No, you are back in the session, Anita. Huh?
Okay, I saw
We're
some,
all working our way back.
I was in the middle of blurb and trying to wrap that up. And so what I'll do is I'll address that final point that I was making, because I think that it's going to be a relevant point across the board. And then we can go and have to do the wrap up as everybody comes back. So the question that I got from Sandy, so thank you, Sandy, for that, was how do I find that balance in being a mom and going back to school, making those decisions, time for my family, et cetera. I think Anita can speak to that even more. But what I shared is that along my journey and going through and having to make those decisions as well, you have to throw out balance and seek harmony, because balance is really overrated. If you're trying to pursue balance, and if you think about the scales of justice and they're already unequal, if you keep trying to put the same on both sides, they're never going to equate out. Okay. So when you seek harmony, what does that look like? And what it actually looks like is that you begin to make choices. So sometimes you might have to work a long day, but you don't forget about the fact that you still got to go pour in. And so you get very intentional about your time and strategic about your opportunities and what you actually choose. So when I wanted to do like homework, I did a lot of my work at night when it was settled, because I like that quiet piece. And I did the philosophy, people by day and paperwork by night. So when I could, if I was helping my child with the homework or having to participate with a couple of things, then I would do that during the day. We might make dinner together. And then, again, as an educator, I would talk about, math or science or reading as we did that as well. So I made those choices to get very intentional about how I spent the time. But more importantly, I realized that by choosing me, I was actually becoming the model and the mentor for my child to say, here's, when it's time to make a decision to further your education, this is not a forever thing. This is a momentary situation, and that we might have a year or 2 years that it's going to be tough. And so I engaged my family to support me. I said, we are doing this together, and I need you. I need you to maybe take, depending on how old your children are, et cetera, I need you to take on this responsibility. I need you to help me out with this. There's some days that I'm going to be unavailable and I'm going to choose me. And so I just started to do that. And when I started to include them in the conversation and the discussion, and I didn't try to do it on my own, it actually made it more workable. And it actually brought our family together. Because again, when I got my degree, it was like we all walked across that stage. So hopefully that helps. And at this time, I know I'm gonna go ahead, if everybody's kind of come back out from their breakout rooms, to turn it over to JR to close us out. This has been a wonderful, wonderful opportunity and experience. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Deena. Thank you so much for spending so much time with us today and helping us navigate this conversation with our amazing panel. I do want to thank so much for your time, sharing your experiences, and it's just so great to see you ladies again. Amanda, Diana, Anita, Brittany, and Joanna. It is always a pleasure. To those of you listening and watching today, if at any point in time you would like to be connected with one of these wonderful women, you can make a note in the chat box. You can contact us a little bit later and we'll tell you how to do that, and we'll be glad to connect you. They're always an amazing resource as you're deciding what's the best next step for your career. Which I very briefly want to mention, and then we're going to close out here and get you all on with your day right on time. Wherever you are in the process of admission, whether this is your very first experience with the Merage School, or you're somewhat familiar with UCI Merage, but this is the first time diving into what is EMBA and is it right for me, or you're all the way at the end and you're trying to decide, are you going to say yes to that offer of admission that you've been granted, which we are confident you will. Anywhere in that process, we're here for you. I will be your guide. I have an amazing team with me at the Merage School and the EMBA program, and we will support you. As you're deciding if this is right for you, there's one very important thing I want to share with you today. We always offer scholarships. It's an opportunity for us to help you make this investment in yourself and in your career. But right now, there are amazing opportunities for women in scholarships. Whether you are going to qualify for a scholarship in business, finance, healthcare, or STEM, but in particular, I want you to know about the $55,000 UCI Anniversary Scholarship. The University of California, Irvine is turning 55 this year. So in honor of that birthday, we are giving out a handful of anniversary scholarships to very top applicants, candidates who are offered admission to the school. So it's a fabulous opportunity. Do not hesitate. Finally, experience us. This is just one way. We will set you up with a class visit. There are so many ways we will be involved with you. And I want you to know that everything we do is individualized to support you through this process. What do you need to make this step in your career? Is this the right program for you? Is this the right time for you? I hope the answers are yes and yes, but together we will work on that and determine it. And as I promised much earlier today in the process, that we have two opportunities we want to invite you to if you've enjoyed today's conversation. I know one is tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. So if Leadership in Heels is a partner organization with whom we love to work. And Sylvia and I, Sylvia Haas, our executive director, who is on our call with us today. She and I will be participating in this in the morning, and we would love to see you there again. If you are interested in that event, I'm going to ask that you put a note in the chat box or that you follow the links to connect with me, and I will help you get that registration. It's officially closed, but I can get you in. So for coming today, we'd love to help you do that. And then Executive Next Practices, an amazing organization that brings speakers and conversations and panelists and workshops together for you when you as that executive want to stay at the top of your game and be prepared for what's coming next. Everything through ENP will be very cutting edge. So that's all I'm going to share with you today. I want to thank everyone so much for spending some time with us. And we will continue to answer the questions that are in the chat box. I'm going to take a quick peek actually and see if there's anything that I should be answering for the entire group. It appears that we have taken care of most things one-on-one on the side. So we will stay online for just a couple of moments if there are more questions you wish to ask. Otherwise, I wish you all well in this interesting and challenging time we're facing. Thank you so much again for joining us. I'm J.R. Reisner, and I hope to see you all soon. Thank you.